when it does this is I need to mute the YouTube channel because as I was trying to do that little blurb earlier today, I had a delay and then my own voice back in my ears. And okay, so the YouTube link is live and it's 6:59. We're gonna wait for just a minute and and there you go, Sean. I think I changed the screen sharing, so you should be good to go there. We'll give it another minute and then we'll get ready.
It's like
I'm just going to wait till 7:01 just to, if people are just, the hundreds and hundreds of people who are currently logging onto YouTube, it might crash the YouTube servers. So we need to take our time, make sure everybody can get on there.
Donc, on attend encore quelques secondes avant de commencer notre Assemblée générale annuelle.
Okay, well, there we are. So for anybody that's watching us on YouTube live, or for anybody who's going to pick this up once the video is archived, thanks for joining us. This is the 2024 Voyageurs AGM. My name's Rob Notenboom. I hopefully know quite a few of the people that are watching, but maybe some that aren't. We have on our meeting right now, Nikki Cotty, the Secretary of the Board of Directors, Jean-Sébastien Roy is the VP, and Sean Mann is the Treasurer. We're going to try and do this within about 40 minutes. We've had a great year, so a little bit of this is celebratory, but most of it is informational. As meetings go, they can be a little bit dry at times, but it's important for us to be transparent and get this information out there. But hopefully the dry part or the part that's not dry is the bit of celebration. Two things that I think we want to kick off with right off the bat before we get to the meeting formally. First of all, we've had more volunteers over the last 12, 18 months than we ever have before. And I think we owe everybody a giant thank you. We have committee heads, committee members, people who are volunteering to set up and take down in stadium, people that were painting giant tifos, people that contributed to fundraisers, people that were local organizing committee heads, and people that just went to watch parties or traveled to Copa or went to Australia for Australia, New Zealand. This makes our job a lot of fun when people are kicking in and contributing and enjoying themselves, and that's what it's all about for us. So thank you for everybody that participated in any way, even if it was just buying a scarf or commenting positively online or whatever it is. It's been a great joy to do this year. Secondly, a lot of the people that have been volunteering contributed to this AGM, but some of that material isn't going to make it into the actual AGM. We will share it through the website and via email following the AGM. So people that were heads of committees, like Nikki is the local organizing committee head. Jean-Sébastien was working on our kind of French language outreach. Larry Zima was membership committee head. Lucas Timmons did the newsletter. All these people did fairly large write-ups. You're going to get to see those. You just don't get to see them within the AGM. They'll be shared afterwards. So if anybody's interested in more information, there will be a lot more than what we share tonight. Okay, let's get to it here.
Je vais faire une traduction en français. Donc, bienvenue à l'AGM des voyageurs. On va essayer de faire ça dans 40 minutes. Rob disait qu'il appréciait la participation de volontaires, de bénévoles pour notre organisation qui ont participé à différents événements, autant au pays qu'à l'extérieur. Donc, merci à vous tous. Et on est prêt à commencer. On va avoir une présentation bilingue, donc je ferai la version française de la présentation tout au cours de la soirée. Merci beaucoup. Rob,
Thank you,
you're
sir.
on.
Thank you. Merci. We're going to go through some of the highlights of the year, first of all. I don't think it's hyperbole to say it was one of the busiest years in Voyageurs history. We had a whole bunch of games, travel, events, conventions, meetups. There are all sorts of great things that happened over the course of the year. We participated in the All-State Soccer Show in October, and actually we've in Calgary, and we've just gotten off doing the same thing last week in Toronto. We hosted a great panel discussion about what became the Northern Super League, the Women's Pro Soccer League. We're looking forward to that. A few of us attended the Independent Supporters Council in Montreal. We hosted a meet and greet that was in support of the NSL and AFC Toronto. One of the highlights of the year was the Olympic qualifier in Toronto, where the women qualified to go to, or the women's national team qualified to go to Paris. Great turnout, lots of energy. And we did have some people traveling to the W Gold Cup, CONCACAF W Gold Cup, young tournament. So there's not quite as much uptake on that quite yet, but I think that that's going to grow. We sold thousands of tickets for anything from friendlies to that qualifier. In Vancouver, in particular, the kind of Christine Sinclair final international match was a big event, especially in the sense that we did a huge fundraiser for what became, I suspect, our largest TIFO ever. And the amount of volunteer effort that went into producing and displaying that TIFO was darned impressive. I know that many people in Vancouver and area worked well into the wee hours of the morning, day after day after day, to get that prepared. We had Nation Leagues matches against Jamaica, away and home. Had a good turnout for that as well. I liked this. We had a great karaoke night in Vancouver before the Christine Sinclair tribute match. And it's interesting, in the last 12 months, we've had several visits from Kevin Blue to some of our events, one in the US, one just recently in Vancouver, and then 2 quick visits with Jesse Marsh, one in Vancouver just recently, and then back after Copa in Toronto. We did really well with ticket sales in Europe for the 2 games that the men's national team played in the Netherlands and France. Copa America was a real highlight. We had lots and lots of travelers, and although the ticket acquisition and planning, through no fault of our own, was quite difficult, we managed to get thousands of people hooked up with tickets. And I think everybody knows, and if you don't know, here it is. Alex Ho basically worked 2 jobs for much of June and July getting all of that figured out. So huge thanks to Alex for all of his efforts on Copa America tickets. Just quickly running through this. So L'Aviron is our newsletter, and Lucas Timmons has been doing a great job on that. We had 4 editions last year, and we're going to continue with that. Lots of great stories, great pictures, interesting features. We sold a fair amount of merch. We have some decent merch offerings still. 7,343 tickets to women's and men's national team games across North America and Europe, which is kind of a bonkers number. The paddles for retiring players is something that we're going to continue. And there'll be more information on that as 2024 goes into 2025. But we've now distributed 5 of these, and the most recent one was to Atiba Hutchins at the All-State Soccer Show last weekend. As I mentioned in here, we had a ton of donations for the Christine Sinclair TIFO, and what a brilliant moment that was. I think you can still go back on One Soccer and see that. And they did it. One Soccer did a brilliant job of actually highlighting it with the 1 and the 2 surfing around the crowd, and it was a real moment for us all to be proud of. We had tons of attendees to various meetups and panel discussions. So when we looked back over the year, we were both proud and a little bit exhausted, actually. That's a lot for us to take in and do. But it speaks to the tenacity and willingness of all our volunteers to show up and pull their weight for this. So thanks again for everybody that came out, and thanks to everybody who helped organize. It was a great year, and we're really looking forward to the next one. Okay, next up is Sean Mann with our financial report. And Sean, did you say you wanted to share your screen at some point during this?
Yeah, I can just speak to this slide, and then maybe I'll switch to the actual financials, and I'll read some of the bullets that I have on the slides. But I think it's just helpful if I have the full financials up. And as mentioned by Rob earlier, we'll have these posted up on the website shortly here, and everyone can dig in and poke through the exciting accounting treatment of our organization. Just quick high level kind of exec summary. After a very historic 2022 for the Voyageurs, obviously with the men's national team's qualifying run, and then a couple matches in Qatar. Tickets and merchandise sales in 2023 were, as expected, much slower. Less matches played at home. I think the women only had one match in 2023 at home. The men had three, and in terms of profile and importance of those matches, not quite to the level of World Cup qualifying World Cup. So revenues are down substantially, and again, that wasn't unexpected, and we were kind of ready for that given our strong cash position at the end of 2022. So we kind of characterize this from a financial perspective as a reset year. We paid off a bunch of material expenses that were carried over from Qatar in 2022, and the focus was managing our cash flows to set us up for 2024, but still being able to return some fun stuff to membership in terms of scarves and merchandise. And then Rob kind of hit on a couple of the key big initiatives that we had that did cost some money for us. One being the player awards, which I think are a hit with the players. We've had some great feedback from the players who've received those awards, and I think this will become a cool tradition for the Voyageurs going forwards. And the second one was the live panel event we held in Toronto. This was the first time we've really attempted to host an event like this, and it was really well received. I think it was a really cool event, and hopefully, as we approach 2026 and the home World Cup, we'd like to maybe roll out more events like that in the future. Next slide, Rob, if you don't mind. I don't know if it changed. Rob, do you mind switching to the next slide?
I thought that they did.
Not quite yet.
Well, it's switched on my screen.
Oh.
You're talking about the revenue slide.
Yeah, there we go. Now it showed up. Oh, it disappeared again.
There. How's that?
Perfect. I'll speak to revenues and then I'll switch to the actual financials. So our total revenues in 2023 versus 2022. Again, firstly, I should just mention our fiscal year is the calendar year. So it'd be Jan 1 to December 31st. So I'd be comparing full year 2023 to full year 2022. Our revenues were down 74%. Again, this was not a surprise to us. We've been calling it a bit of a World Cup hangover year in 2023. Breaking that revenue down, there's two key buckets we track in terms of revenues. The first being membership fees, and then merchandise. Again, those are both down a substantial amount. That said, in 2022, we all are familiar with the challenges Nike had with merch and getting official gear. Luckily through the support of our volunteers and our team, we were pretty well positioned to sell a bunch of merch in 2022. And again, we were never going to hit those levels in 2023, given the demand for matches and having gear, and people wanted to be suited up for the World Cup. Can you go to the next slide, Rob? As you can see here, membership fees were down 61%. The key driver there is home matches, right? So match days drive a lot of our revenue. People renew, anticipation for tickets and getting access to tickets. That's one of the key perks of being a member of the Voyageurs. Obviously, with with a lower match count in 2023, combined with the relative less importance, more friendlies, Nations League and Gold Cup. We just didn't see the renewals that we saw from 2022. So that's it on the revenue side. We'll flip to the next slide and we'll talk a bit on expenses. So with the drop in revenue, we also had a drop in expenses. Expenses were down about 47% from 2022. As we continue to grow the organization and professionalize the organization, we've started to track some more of our expenses in a little bit more detail. And I'll go through the main categories that we've broken down on the financial statements this year. So the first category is cost of sales. That represents, the cost for us to produce merchandise, so scarves, t-shirts, anything we sell would fall into that bucket. The second bucket would be shipping and storage. Obviously, Canada's a big country and most of our merch is based out of Ontario, so we have to send packages across the country. Shout out to Trevor Dorsey, who is our shipping wizard behind the scenes, and so he helps get everyone their packages and their merch, and obviously there's a cost incurred to that. And secondary on the shipping and storage side of things, Rob had mentioned the big TIFO. Some of the other banners we've had at matches, we have to pay to get those shipped around and move around the country, and there's some logistics and storage and van rentals, etc., to get stuff where it needs to be for matches. So that's what makes up that category. The third category, Rob, you can go to the next slide, is match day and events. This would be costs incurred for the TIFOs themselves, so paint, banner, material, fabric, smoke, flag poles, etc., as well as events. So those would be non-match day events. So that the costs for the panel discussion that we had in Toronto would fall in this bucket. The all-state soccer show that we attended in Calgary would also fall in this bucket. There's some costs that we incurred to have a presence there as well. Next category is IT. This would be our server and web hosting fees for the Voyageur site, as well as our back end for Stripe, which is our payment processor for the online store, as well as software licenses and other IT computer related costs. The next bucket's awards. As mentioned, we can see this grow in the future as we continue to build out awards. The main cost driver there is the paddles that we to players, as well as which she also enjoyed receiving. The last two are quite small, general administrative. Those are a laundry list of costs there that we incur to run this organization. So office supplies and other regulatory type expenses that show up, and then donations. We had a t-shirt drive, if you recall, in 2023 for women in sport, and we sold a bunch of shirts and send out a donation on behalf of the Voyageurs to women in sport. So that's a quick high level on the revenue and expense side of things. I'm just going to share my screen, Rob, if you don't mind.
Okay.
We'll just flip to the actual financials. Just bear with me one moment. Just get a thumbs up from somebody on our team if you can see my screen.
Yep, we're good.
Perfect. So after going through those revenue and expenses, we did have a bit of a shortfall. So we had an excess of expense over revenue to the tune of about $24,900. And again, that's not unexpected given our drop in revenues year over year. So that's the accounting treatment. What I'll speak to next is actual cash. And this is cash in our bank and how we spend that cash and where we ended up in the year in terms of a cash position. So this was the excess revenue over expense that I just spoke to, the loss of almost $25,000. We collected some money from some people that owed a little bit to the Voyageurs. We spent about $3,600 on additional inventory. So that would be the scarf run for the 2023 Women's World Cup. Deferred revenue is cash we collected in 2023 for 2024 revenue. So if you buy membership halfway through the year, we recognize half the revenue in 23, half the 24, but you pay the full amount to us in 2023. So that's what that represents. Accounts payable is amounts owing to suppliers, or in our case, usually other board members who paid for for merch or supplies and expenses along the way. So we spent about 17 grand paying net 17 grand paying off those payables. Taxes, we owe GST at the end of each year. We have to remit in March for this year, so we have a bit outstanding that it shows up as a positive here because we haven't paid it, and it'll pay it, like I said, in the following year. Anyway, summing all those up, we started the year with 48 or almost $49,000. We spent about 32.5, and we left 2020 left at the end of 2023 with about $16,300. So that sets us up well for 2024. And as you know, we're in September already. We've seen a bump in sales, and I don't have the numbers compiled yet, but you know, a strong Copa America run did wonders for us. We saw a bump in membership renewals, merch sales, ticket sales, etc. So we're in a fairly strong cash position going into 2024 and beyond. That's the super high level kind of 30,000 foot view of financials. If people want to dig in or have any questions about any of these categories or how we account for them, I'm more than happy to take those and review. I'll stop sharing and give it back to Rob.
Okay, thanks for all that, Sean. And I think people can probably see that that's a tremendous amount of work that you put in to all of that, keeping us in a position where we actually know what's going on with our financials. But things are pretty good. Okay, back to are we good with me sharing here? Does that look the way it's supposed to? For some reason I can't. Oh, there we go. Sean, did you want to speak to this slide at all? Because this was the last one we included.
Sure. It was, I just kind of blew through it, but it's a visual what I spoke about. This just kind of breaks up where our cash went. So on the left, you'll see where we started with at the start of 2023 with that $48.8 thousand. You know, a membership sales bumps up. Membership, I think the numbers kind of got hidden in my formatting, but these will tie out to the cash flow statement and the financial statement. So, you know, cash goes up with sales and membership fees. The big black bar down is our expenses for the year, some of the other cash items, and that, you know, this kind of just outlines how we get to our ending cash of $16.3 thousand. Okay, again, if you look at, I think it's page 4 of my financial statements, you can see each bucket here ties out. Again, if you have questions, I'm happy to walk someone through if they're curious in a little bit more detail. Happy to do that.
And I just lost my screen. Oh, I think I know how to get it back. I think I do. Do I? There we go. Okay. Thanks, Sean. That's all great stuff. Okay. What are we on to next? Sorry, I don't know why it's not switching to the next slide. Oh, awesome. Sorry, 2 seconds. Somehow I managed to close PowerPoint. There we go. Okay. Once again, very briefly, a lot of the committees submitted reports. These are the absolute bare bones of what they submitted. The total information from submissions from committee heads and whatnot will be published on the website, and the link will be sent out. So if people want more information, they can get it. So we were very lucky that Lucas Timmons stepped up and volunteered to be the editor of the newsletter La Fermo. Launched in 2023. We've had 5 issues. By issue 3, we started publishing in both English and French. And Jean-Sébastien will talk a little bit more about that when we get there. It's been very well received. We've had a ton of feedback on, people seeing great pictures, great stories. It's a great way to reach out and connect with everybody. I hope people read it. If you're not reading it, you're really missing out. The back issues are posted in the newsletter area of the website as well. So I think it would be nice to have a few more people contribute to the newsletter. If you happen to be traveling, or if you're just doing something with a watch party at home, or you're just by yourself, or you have something to say, reach out to us and we can connect you with Lucas and we can get some more information for the newsletter. But it's been a great addition for members. It's a little bit of a bonus for everybody, and it's always exciting when it comes out because there's lots of great stuff in there. And huge thanks, of course, to Lucas for doing this. He puts in a ton of work, and it's really, really paying off. Okay, we've had an initiative to engage better with Francophone Canadians and French Canada. And of course, that comes down to Jean-Sébastien leading the charge there. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Parfait, merci beaucoup, Rob. Donc, en effet, on va s'exprimer un petit peu en français. En français, s'il vous plaît. Donc, au cours de la dernière année, les voyageurs ont particulièrement mis beaucoup d'emphase pour améliorer les communications en langue française avec ses membres. Vous avez remarqué que la plupart de nos envois par courriel sont désormais bilingues et la plupart de nos communications officielles via les médias sociaux sont également en langue française. On a pu intégrer aussi des chants en français lors de nos matchs locaux à Montréal, puis j'ai pu en entendre quelques-uns à Atlanta. Oui, à ma très grande surprise. Un des faits marquants, je dirais, pour l'année, est certainement notre nouveau logo qui est désormais dans un format bilingue. Donc, l'objectif était vraiment de mettre à jour notre histoire et de se coller finalement à la représentation du bilinguisme dans notre pays. Au cours de la prochaine année, un des gros chantiers, c'est qu'on prévoit revoir le site web pour avoir vraiment un site bilingue. Ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est qu'actuellement, le site le module de langue n'est pas fonctionnel, ce qui nous empêche de pouvoir faire cette transition-là. Donc, on souhaite profiter d'un rajeunissement du site pour pouvoir évidemment l'avoir en langue française. Les voyageurs ont pu bénéficier de beaucoup de visibilité au cours de la dernière année. J'ai donné quelques entrevues à la radio, entre autres avec Olivier Brett à BPM Sport, à Toronto également avec Cédric Ngoné à Choc FM, qui est une radio française de Toronto. Puis j'ai également donné durant les Olympiques une entrevue à LCN en lien avec la performance de notre équipe féminine. Donc, toutes ces visibilités-là ont certainement eu un impact, je dirais, au niveau de notre visibilité québécoise, entre autres, parce que notre membership francophone est en hausse, particulièrement au Québec. On a regardé aussi qu'au niveau de la Copa, durant la compétition. À un moment donné, on avait 7 lieux de visionnement en même temps, ce qui est un record. On n'avait jamais eu ça au Québec. Il y en a eu 4 à Montréal, 3 à Toronto. Et un des objectifs que je me suis donné, c'est d'en avoir un petit peu partout en province. Je pense entre autres au Saguenay, dans le coin de Sherbrooke, à Montérégie. Donc, il y a vraiment de la place. Et si vous êtes des gens qui sont je dirais, dans les 4 coins du Québec, n'hésitez pas à me rejoindre pour qu'on puisse vous aider à ce niveau-là. Pour terminer, je voudrais tout simplement vous dire que toutes mes rencontres que j'ai faites avec le président de Canada Soccer, Peter Agruso, le CEO Kevin Blue, ou même Mathieu Chamberlain, le CEO de Canada Soccer, j'ai toujours réitéré l'importance que Canada Soccer doit avoir pour la qualité du français et la fréquence de ses communications dans le respect des francophones du pays. Au niveau des voyageurs, on a travaillé extrêmement fort pour que ça puisse vraiment être très représentatif. Donc, je peux vous dire qu'aujourd'hui, je suis particulièrement fier des étapes qu'on a franchies, mais il y a encore beaucoup de chemin à faire. Alors, si vous avez de l'intérêt pour me donner un coup de main, écoutez, n'hésitez pas à me rejoindre. Je suis facilement rejoignable, puis j'aurai toujours besoin d'un bon coup de main de mes collègues francophones du Québec, du Manitoba ou de l'Ontario ou de n'importe où à travers le Canada. Alors, merci beaucoup de votre attention. Et au plaisir de vous reparler bientôt. Rob, are you going to do the English version?
Well, I can try. Yeah, I can do a little bit of it, I guess. Yeah, I think it goes without saying. It's been obvious that we've had a real focus on trying to engage with French language, French Canada, and include more French language communication. This is not my strong suit. I know a little bit of French, but I've always wanted to know more. But I blame Jean-Sébastien for not teaching me well enough. No, I'm just kidding. It's my own thing. Eventually, one of these days, I'm going to. But in particular, the bilingual logo was a real was actually a great process. And thanks to Mark Hinckley for putting so much time into that. And it looks great. It's a nice upgrade from our logo that we've had for 25 plus years. And I don't know, I love it. I'm glad that that we took the initiative to do it. It's great to see more uptake in French Canada and some more membership sales, as well as more engagement. We're hoping to keep building with that. We have had issues with the website and being able to turn on the dual language side of the website. So we may have some solutions over the course of the next 12 months, hopefully, for that. And I think a huge thanks to Jean-Sébastien in particular, who has really, taken the lead on all this and has been visible in media, and also just worked really hard. And he's a busy guy, so it's kind of impressive to me that he put so much time and effort into it. But it just shows that when we work at something as an organization, we can achieve a little bit more, and it really helps to have brought on new people and diversified who's working on things. So great stuff. I don't know, did I do a decent enough job of summing up what you said, or did I go my own way?
It's much better than what I did.
Oh, I doubt that. I doubt that. So one thing I was going to mention, though, just to backtrack a little bit, I mentioned Mark Hinckley and his design work, and of course his design with scarves and t-shirts and all of the things. I failed to mention Annie Hart earlier about the Christine Sinclair tifo. Of course, that was Annie's design. And, these guys knock it out of the park for us every time. We're so lucky to have such talent. We have talented people, we have dedicated people, we have hardworking people, we have people that come and help with smiles on their faces. And Annie and Mark are certainly two of those. So we're very, very lucky. Okay, moving on. Membership committee was a bit of a new thing over the last 12 to 18 months. Went through some initial phase where they gathered members, and then eventually it kind of fell to Larry Zima to take over kind of leadership of it. I have to say, from my own personal standpoint, the membership committee has made such an impact on the performance of our organization from a solving members' problems side of things. We handled it in a very ad hoc way before, and now I don't think for most cases it's more than 24, 48 hours before people get an answer if they didn't get their t-shirt, if they're not sure how to reset their member login password, or any of these kinds of issues. The membership committee has been dynamite in handling it, and the fact that it's being taken care of and you can just not worry about it is a brilliant thing. I always get a kick out of seeing Facebook messages roll in, and then I don't have to answer them anymore because I know they're being answered and I can see the dialogue going on, and it's a wonderful thing. Not only that, but as most of you probably know, we had a pretty major issue with the website and with memberships auto renewing, and it ended up falling to the membership committee to kind of monitor that and to cancel those auto renewals and to try and explain to people what the situation was. And I think that was probably pretty frustrating it was frustrating for me too, for months and months, but they did a bang up job of that. So yeah, in this report, there's much more. And of course, I'm going to post this to the website because Larry submitted a much longer version. But they took over responding to members' inquiries. That was great. Arranged a ton of media interviews during COPA. We became very popular during COPA again, so that was fun. The long-term renewal glitch, that's the third bullet there that I mentioned. And there are other things that they're going to be involved in particular, and we're going to start this hopefully in October, is the membership package for 2025. They're going to be involved in as well. So great group of people on that committee and hardworking, and it's been a blessing having them around, because this year would have been a real struggle on a lot of fronts without their labor on that side of things. So great stuff from them. Did you want to say a little bit of that, Jean-Sébastien, or should I soldier on? Sorry, and I
Okay.
just
Sorry,
realized
I was.
I'm covering up the French every time, and I shouldn't be doing that, obviously.
Oh, well, that's fine. It's I think people can read on that, but just let me recap on membership importance for the French people. So, ce qu'on a fait, c'est qu'on a vraiment mis un comité au niveau des membres, puis il y a eu énormément de travail qui a été fait par Larry Zima, entre autres, qui a mené ce comité-là d'une main de maître. On a été capable d'être beaucoup plus proactifs en prenant en charge toutes les demandes sur les différents médias, sites web, email, etc. Et il y a eu énormément de choses qui ont été faites durant la COPA au niveau des entrevues avec des médias. Le comité a travaillé aussi très fort lorsqu'on a eu certains problèmes avec le membership, où on a eu des problèmes de renouvellement automatisé de notre système qui s'est fait sans qu'on sache trop pourquoi. Donc, on avait comme un bug à régler. L'équipe a été extraordinaire en apportant support et réconfort à de nombreux membres qui étaient un petit peu mêlés sur est-ce qu'ils avaient renouvelé ou pas. Alors, on est tous passés à travers ça, puis on les remercie énormément. There you go.
Okay, thank you, sir. Because we're such a big country, and because it's sometimes not possible for people to get to games, and certainly lots of people, me included, will likely never have a game, or it's very rare that we would have a game in our location. Having local organizers is really important. And this falls to Nikki, and Nikki works and works and works at this as well. And it's great to have the number of watch parties in the number of locations that we've been able to have over the last couple of years. As the first bullet says, 28 Canada games in 27 different cities. 27 different cities there have been watch parties, 52 different venues, 314 watch parties. So every one of those watch parties is an event that somebody who's local has to organize. And that's the critical part about all this. Nikki's job is to kind of try and collect all those, maybe touch base with some people who she hasn't heard from, and then organize the publishing of those. So hopefully it attracts people to your events. It's a bit of a thankless task, I think, but maybe the thanks at the end is knowing that people are enjoying watching these games together. Thanks very much to everybody who organized watch parties. If you ever see somebody asking, why isn't there a watch party in this location or that location or this community or that community, it's important to keep reminding people that this is not really something that we control. It's something that the masses, or at least individuals within the masses, control. So, if you're looking for a watch party in Brandon, Manitoba, it requires somebody from Brandon, Manitoba to step up, contact the bar, make sure that or the event space, make sure that they'll play the game on their TVs with sound, and then we can put it on the list and publish it. So that's the critical part of all this. Most people have that message. Sometimes it seems people don't understand. And so just, helping explain that goes a long way. Nikki's put our email on there, voyagersloc@gmail.com, where if you are in whatever community in Canada and you know a great place to watch the games in October or the games coming up in November, and you want it to happen there, it's up to you to do it. And you just need to give us a heads up and we'll put you on the list. So thanks a bunch to Nikki for organizing all that and staying on top of it all the time. And thanks a bunch to all the people who are the locals who are setting these up all the time. It's great to have so many people all gathering to watch games across the country. This is a really short slide. Oh, sorry, JS, did you want to talk to that? Do you want me to back up?
Oh oui, je peux faire un résumé rapide. I can do a quick overview. Rob a mis beaucoup d'importance sur les bénévoles qui participent à chaque fois pour organiser justement ces soirées de visionnement-là. Donc, un gros merci à vous tous et particulièrement dans la région de Montréal. Vous avez travaillé très, très fort pour avoir plusieurs points, tout comme à Québec. Alors, un gros merci. On parle de 314 soirées au total dans 50 lieux différents à travers le Canada. C'est exceptionnel. On a eu une superbe année. On souhaite que ça continue. Et si vous souhaitez organiser quelque chose dans votre coin, ben, vous pouvez contacter Nikki qui est en charge et le email est indiqué là. Donc, un gros merci à Nikki qui est sur le board et qui travaille très, très fort à rejoindre la plupart des propriétaires ou ce qu'on appelle des local organizing committee qui sont en charge. Merci, Rob.
Thank you, sir. Okay, elections. Just to recap a little bit about elections, and there's one detail I've kind of forgotten. We have a 3-year election term. The president was the only one that was up. I was on a 1-year term, and I re-upped for 3 years. So you're stuck with me from 2024 to 2027. I'm afraid. There was much rejoicing was something I was supposed to remove from the slide before publishing it. I don't think there's any rejoicing, actually. I think people just were like, oh, okay. Next year, there will be 2 positions up for elections. The year after that, there will be 2. However, we may be changing the format some up, but we're not sure, and we haven't had full discussions. So we're not going to talk about that too much. But I just want to say I'm very proud and very happy to do this. It's a great joy. It can be stressful in work sometimes, but it all pays off knowing that more people get to watch Canada and have fun watching Canada. And that's what this is all about. So I'm excited to do this for the next 3 years. And do you want to say a little bit about that, JS? Or...
Oui, alors cette année, il y avait un seul poste qui était en élection et c'était le poste de président. Alors, on a un système rotatif où à chaque année, on a un certain nombre de membres de notre comité de direction qui tombent en élection. Dans mon cas, c'est dans 2 ans. Rob avait été nommé l'an passé pour une seule année et il est reconduit pour un autre mandat de 3 ans. On est en réflexion un petit peu sur notre façon de fonctionner parce qu'on pense qu'on peut améliorer peut-être notre système d'élection. Donc, on vous tiendra au courant. On peut malheureusement pas vous en donner plus de détails pour l'instant. Alors, Rob témoignait qu'il était super heureux et très content de faire ce travail de présidence et il espère continuer à faire du bon boulot.
Okie dokie. And I think we're almost at the end. So, as you can see, a lot happened in the past 12 to 18 months. This year is going to be busy again. And of course, we're building up to a home World Cup for the men in 2026. So we have lots of ideas and we're working on lots of things. 2 major ones, and we know that these are things that sometimes are struggles for us as an organization, and therefore they need some kind of approach and application and some problem solving, and we're hoping to get them figured out. One of them is the website. We run into some real issues with it, and it's possibly time for an upgrade. So we're looking at that, and also communications. That has gotten a little bit better with the input of the membership committee, but it's still something that we haven't really taken on fully as an organization, and we're hoping to do that in the next 12 months. We've referenced the giving out of the paddles for retirees for awards. We're hoping to do more of that, but we're also hoping to formalize it, and there'll be some information over the next couple of months, hopefully come out on that. And if you want to get involved, and in particular, and this doesn't necessarily apply to everybody, but if you have a reasonable sense of the last 25 to 30 years of both senior national teams, then maybe think about joining what will eventually be a committee to give out those paddles, because we're thinking about giving out paddles to players who have retired longer ago and didn't have the opportunity, and we're potentially going to award some after the fact. So anyway, just throwing that out there. We haven't really 100% decided yet, but it might be a thing. And of course, we've got games coming up, so we're very excited about that. Anytime there's a home game, well, any game really, we're excited about either watching the game in the stands, watching with friends at watch parties, or watching at home and sharing it on social media. So I'll let you have the last word there, JS, and then we're pretty much done for the night.
Eh bien, écoutez, on a pour 2024-2025 énormément de projets sur la table. Un des gros projets, c'est le site web que l'on veut revoir. On veut également créer un comité de communication dont je serai possiblement un acteur important. Donc, encore une fois, si vous êtes intéressé par tout l'aspect communication, médias sociaux, traduction, relations publiques, marketing, communication, vous n'hésitez pas à communiquer avec moi. On espère aussi créer un comité de récompense. On remet on souligne des gens qui prennent, des joueurs qui prennent leur retraite. Donc, on veut créer un comité qui pourrait se pencher sur des gens qui ont pris leur retraite au cours des dernières années et qui les prendront également au cours des prochaines années. Donc, si vous êtes intéressé, vous pouvez lever la main. Et bien sûr, ben, on attend avec beaucoup d'impatience des matchs de l'équipe nationale ici au Canada. On s'attend à en avoir plusieurs. Moi, j'ai entendu dire que Montréal faisait partie du lot et ça vient de la bouche du président. Alors, j'ai bien hâte de voir ce qu'il y en est. Alors, on achève notre Assemblée générale annuelle. Donc, je tenais à remercier à tous ceux qui sont restés avec nous au cours des 45 dernières minutes. Et encore une fois, merci de faire partie de notre organisation et de nous supporter. Rob?
Merci beaucoup. And that kind of brings us to the end. And we're at about 45 minutes. And what that means is I did not let myself talk too long. So that's a good thing too. Thanks for anybody that followed along. We really appreciate it. We appreciate everybody who's contributed to the Voyageurs in any way, and that is literally hundreds of people. So we're very lucky to keep doing this, and we're going to keep doing this. Hope to see people at games sometime soon or at watch parties. I've kind of missed a few games over the last little while, but I was looking at flights today. Maybe November I might get out there. So if any of you have any questions, there are multiple ways to reach out to us: Facebook, direct messages, Twitter, DMs. We have several email addresses that are listed on our website. Reach out, ask a question, say hi, whichever you want. Please don't yell at us. We don't like that. But otherwise, reach out. Hope to see you all soon. Thanks for listening. And how do I shut off the live stream? Oh, there we go. Stop live stream. Okay. Thanks, everybody. See you
Thanks,
in the
everybody.
stands.